Good afternoon to all. Now we are entering into today's afternoon session handled by Dr. M. Meenalochani, Assistant Professor, Triple E, King's College of Engineering, titled on Introduction to Artificial Intelligence. I am happy to introduce the resource person of this session, Dr. M. Meenalochani. Dr. M. Meenalochani obtained her BE in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Anjaliamma Mahalingam College. Her ME is from College of Engineering Indi and her specialization is in embedded systems. She obtained her PhD from National Institute of Technology Tiruchirappalli in the area of wireless sensor networks. She is having teaching experience of 11 years in engineering colleges. At present, she is working as an assistant professor in Electrical and Electronic Engineering Department, King's College of Engineering. Her area of interest include wireless sensor networks, embedded system, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things. She has published 6 papers in Science Citation Index journals including IEEE, IET, and Springer. She is a reviewer of IEEE Science section on instrument and measurements, IEEE Sensor Journal, Springer Wireless Personal Communication, and IET Science, Measurement and Technology. We welcome you, ma'am. Now I am going to hand over the session to a resource person.
Thank you, Ma. Is my PPT visible, Ma?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, good afternoon to you all. I'm Dr. Meenaloshini, Assistant Professor from Department of Triple E, King's College of Engineering. The topic of my presentation today is Introduction to Artificial Intelligence. So, this artificial intelligence is actually a field of study and it is having a variety of applications. So we can use this uh, field to any area. So almost all of the applications in today's era are using this artificial intelligence for its implementation. So the flow of my presentation will be an introduction to human and machine intelligence, to the classification of artificial intelligence, applications, research areas, and finally an intro to fuzzy logic. And if time permits, we can have a small glimpse on swarm intelligence. So before going into artificial intelligence, so what is actually intelligence refers to? Intelligence is present almost in all living beings. But when it comes to human beings, as human beings are the most intelligent living organism in the world, this intelligence actually refers to human intelligence. It is a term describing the property of mind, which is having several capabilities such as reasoning, planning, solving the problems, thinking abstractly, and usage of new ideas, expressing ideas using a language, and learning. So, these are the capacities specific to a human being, and uh, this is actually called the intelligence. So, reasoning means we'll be having some reason for doing any activity. So that refers to reasoning, planning. So how we are planning to accomplish a particular job or any activity, solving the problems, uh, thinking abstractly. So what are all the things we'll be facing when we'll be having a particular solution for any activity, and usage of new techniques and ideas, and using the language to express our vision. This is especially present only in human beings. And learning from the failures which happen in our past activities or events. So these kind of capacities are present in human beings. So, intelligence can be defined as the ability for solving the problems. So, problem solving in the sense there can be a lot of solutions. So, in our day-to-day activity itself, we can have different solutions, whether knowingly or unknowingly. We'll actually go for the best solution. So, so if you want to travel from a place to another place, we can have several options like traveling by walk, by bus, taking an auto like that. And if it is raining, means we'll be making our decision in a smarter way so that we won't travel by a two wheeler. Instead, we'll be preferring to go by a taxi or auto like that. So this is one kind of option. So we can have a variety of solution for any problem. Among that solution, we are choosing the best solution that is apt for a particular problem in our day-to-day life. So whenever it is not rainy season, and if we if the place is very near, means we can choose to go by walk like that. Our solution will change depending upon the situation of a particular day. So like that, we'll be having a lot of day-to-day problems and day-to-day solutions, and human beings are capable of choosing the best solution. Next one is reasoning. Reasoning is interpretation or justification of solutions. Why I am choosing to travel by auto today instead of going by walk. So I have to justify my solution. Okay. So since it is raining, I should go by this one safely. So I am justifying a solution. Lot of solutions are there. In that, I have a specific reason to follow that solution. Third one is planning. Planning is to find different ways for finding a solution. So this is basically typical to a human mind. We can plan appropriately, we can analyze a problem, and we can solve it, which is appropriate for us. Next one is thinking abstractly, is simulating the problem within our brain. So if I travel by walk, means what will happen? I'll think. Okay, I will become wet, so I should not go by that way. Like that, I am thinking abstractly. I am simulating each and everything, every solution, and I'm finding the best one. So that is thinking abstractly. Next one, idea or language comprehension. So expression through our language. It is required for data or problem representation or knowledge representation. And finally, learning the process in which we can find a better way. So the solution which you took today, it won't be better when you think it tomorrow, because we may have some bad experiences uh, in the solution which we took for a particular day. So we can upgrade it, we can learn from our mistakes, and we'll be upgrading the solution. We'll go for next solution. If the solution which we choose is good, then we'll be following the same thing. And if we had any bad experience in that solution, we'll be learning from the bad experiences, and we'll be going for a new solution. So that is the process of learning which human beings are adapting. Artificial intelligence, it refers to the human intelligence, that is making the human intelligence into a computer or a controlled robot, or not even a hardware. You can make a software to think intelligently that is similar to its thinking in human being. So that is actually the field of artificial intelligence. So making a machine to think like a human being, how we are making our decisions, how we are solving our problems. So instead of program, it has to think like a human being, and it has to adapt to real time problems. That is the speciality of artificial intelligence based techniques. So it is accomplished by studying how human beings are thinking, how they are learning, how they are deciding, how they are working while trying to solve a problem. All these things are studied, and they have derived um, a solution for developing an intelligent software as well as hardware systems. So this artificial intelligence, it is actually a broad area. It can encompasses so many things like reasoning, knowledge. Uh, it can be a machine learning, or it can be a robotic. So almost all the fields are using this artificial intelligence in their applications. So some examples of artificial intelligence where we can see in our day-to-day life, the Siri, it's actually a personal assistant similar to Google Assistant. So whenever we are saying okay Google, means it can do many things for us. In the same manner, this Siri is developed by Apple in iPhone, and it is used for finding information. It can assist us in getting the directions where we are going to go. It can send messages. It can make voice calls for a person, and even it can, if I want to book a car, means it can open a Uber application and it can book. It can you can tell the destination and it can book a Uber taxi for you. And also events can be added to the calendar. What are all the uh, events you want to go or you want to attend, that events can be added to the calendar by means of the Siri. So it uses artificial intelligence based technique. Next one is Tesla. We know that this Tesla is a notorious car company, and it is having several features like self-driving, and it is also having predictive capabilities. So self-driving in the sense it should be capable of predicting the hurdles in its path, and it's a technological innovative car manufactured by Tesla, which is using artificial intelligence for its approach. So Netflix, this is another popular application where you can see the movies, and this Netflix, it uses an application based on AI where the user choices are trapped. So if you are interested in seeing a horror movie, means you will get recommendations of horror movies, and the beauty is that most of the recommendations provided by Netflix, almost 90% of the recommendations are best suited for the user. So since it studies the mind of a user who is seeing the movie, it can know the taste of the particular user, whether he is liking horror or thriller or any type of movies. It can provide recommendations. Not only Netflix, in Amazon also you might have seen. So whenever you ordered some products, or if even if you are searching some products, you'll get recommendations to your mail that products you may like. So that is based upon the artificial intelligence based techniques employed by that particular organization for viewing the or for trapping the consumer's mind where in which they are interested. So it will be providing the recommendations based on the user preferences, based on the searches which we made. Okay. The next one is Echo. It was also launched by Amazon, and you know that it can search the web for information. Using the Alexa voice service, it can provide, uh, it can schedule appointments, it can shop, it can provide, it can make shopping for you, uh, control the lights on and off, lights, switches, thermostats. It can answer question, it can read audiobooks. It is also capable of reporting the quality of traffic and weather, and also it gives information on local businesses. So many things it can do using the Alexa voice service. So these are some examples where this artificial intelligence techniques are used. So, and in addition to that, you might have seen chatbots in most of the websites. So before communicating directly with the uh, companies or the websites, they'll provide a chatbot where you can make any query, and most of the queries can be answered by the chatbots at the preliminary level. So that is also a kind of artificial intelligence technique. Yes, these are some examples where we are dealing with artificial intelligence products in our day-to-day life. The classification of artificial intelligence, right, it is actually a broad area, and everything can be uh, put under this area. So, machine learning, it is also a subset of artificial intelligence. So, in machine learning, we are having a deep learning, supervised and unsupervised learnings. Okay. Next one, natural language processing, where we can have content extraction, classification. We can have our language processed, and it can generate text, question answering. Everything will be coming under this field. Expert systems, we can have a fuzzy logic under this one, ontological expert systems. So this also comes under artificial intelligence. And in computer vision, we can have machine vision and image recognition of these things. And speech to text and text to speech conversion, planning, robotics. So all these are different varieties of artificial intelligence based techniques, and they are grouped under the broad area of AI. So the goals of AI to create expert systems. So these systems should be exhibiting an intelligent behavior similar to human beings. They should be capable of learning, demonstrating, explaining, and even advising. So that's actually the main use of expert systems. They can provide solutions. They can provide yes or no. You can ask questions, and these expert systems are capable of providing a solution to you. To implement human intelligence in machines, so which includes creating systems that can understand, think, learn, and behave like humans. So these are the main aims of AI. So this artificial intelligence is a technology which can be used in many, almost all disciplines, which include computer science. So this is one is a major field where we can have all the AI techniques employed. The biology, even for in biological applications, we can have this AI based techniques. We can have several medical applications for finding a disease based upon the predictions or the based upon the past data. You can have neural network based techniques, machine learning based techniques for predicting the disease. And psychology, so depending upon the behavior, we can predict what kind of person he is, like that. Psychological observations can also be done. Linguistics, so language processing can be done. Mathematics and engineering, almost all fields of engineering will be having this artificial intelligence based projects. So AI technique is similar to organize and use the knowledge efficiently, such that it should be perceivable, it should be understandable, it should be understood by the people who are providing it. It should be easily modifiable. If there is any error, it should adapt to the changes in that one. It should not be static. It should be capable of modified. If there is an error, means how human beings are correcting their errors. This AI should be also capable of correcting the things, upgrading from their previous versions. It should be useful in many situations. So the thing is that in most of the situations, we can have either complete or incomplete data, or the data which we are getting may be inaccurate. So with that also, so whenever accurate data is there, means we can go for mathematical based problem solutions. Whenever we don't have any accurate data, then we cannot go for that mathematical calculations and all. And this artificial intelligence finds its way only in those specific applications. Okay? So it should be providing its output whenever there is inaccurate or less data is there. With that, it should be capable of providing the output. So for a human being, if he is given a piece of apple, Okay, so if we are given a piece of apple, we can recognize that it is apple because we know the texture, color of the apple, and even if you are given a piece of apple, we can found it as an apple. In the same manner, this artificial intelligence should be capable of getting low data, less data, inaccurate data, and it should provide a complete solution for that one. Okay. So AI techniques elevate the speed of execution. So it should not be slow. It should be quicker in its execution. Okay. It's a development of computer functions associated with human intelligence like reasoning, learning, and problem solving. So these are specific to human intelligence, and this computer function should be developed or with these facilities or capacities. So applications of AI gaming. So most of the games which we are seeing in websites, we they are using AI based techniques. So mainly chess, where machine can think of large number of possible positions based on heuristic knowledge. So heuristic, it refers to the condition. So we human beings, we know that if you touch fire, we will get burnt. So it is a heuristic sentence. We knew it by means of our activity. Like that, based on the heuristic knowledge, it should be capable of playing the games, past experiences. Okay. Next one, natural language processing. It should be natural language processing. Human beings, whatever language they are speaking, you should communicate with them, and it should be capable of providing the solution or the things required by the user. So in Google itself, that assistant, you can, even if you can, if you want to play some Tamil song means, or if you want to talk it in Tamil, it will talk to you in Tamil. Like that, natural language processing should be done. Expert systems, there are some applications where it will give advising to us. It will provide some kind of reasoning or advising if we want. Then those kind of systems are expert systems, and these expert systems are using AI based techniques. Speech recognition. So whenever you are speaking, it can be converted into text. Okay, so that is speech recognition. Even it can handle different accents of the speech, so different versions of the language or slangs. It can identify. Even if there is noise in the background, it can also be identified, and it can provide the output to the user. Vision systems. So it can understand, interpret, and provide visual input on the computer. So this, a spying aeroplane, it can take photographs, and it can provide geographical information, or quality of traffic itself also can be provided to the computer. So next place where vision systems play an important role is a doctor's place, where they are using the clinical expert system to diagnose the patient. So this clinical expert system means based upon the symptoms that a patient is having. So a disease can be diagnosed by the doctor. Next, this police use computer software for recognizing the face of criminal with the already stored values of data. So that can be done under this vision system. Next one is handwriting recognition. So it can recognize the shapes. So mainly in this type of system, neural networks are used. So if you are writing a letter alphabet A means, it can identify the alphabet. How poor your handwriting is, it should be capable of recognizing, because already we will be training the system with the different values, different versions of alphabet A. We will be providing all these details. So anybody whose handwriting uh, is with A, the letter can be identified. In the same manner, the entire handwriting or the signs of a person can be identified, whether it is a true one or it is a false signature can be identified. Intelligent robots. So robots can perform a variety of tasks. So these robots mainly use artificial intelligence based techniques. Okay. So in addition, they also learn from their mistakes and they can adapt to the new environment. So this is because of AI based techniques. So, artificial intelligence is composed of reasoning, learning, problem solving, perception, and linguistic intelligence. So, reasoning, as I already told you, it can provide judgment, make decision, and predict. So, mainly two types of reasoning are there. One is inductive, and the other one is deductive. So in inductive reasoning, it makes observations uh, and make broad statements. So for example, it's given here, Raja is a teacher, he is studious. Therefore, all the teachers are studious. So on seeing or identifying a person, it can come to a reasoning that all should be like that only. That is inductive reasoning. In deductive reasoning, it starts with a general statement. Uh, for example, all women of above 60 years are grandmothers. So it can compare a person with a age and therefore it will decide she is a grandmother. Like that, two types of reasoning can be done. Learning, so it is activity of gaining knowledge. So we can learn from studying or by practicing, or we can be taught and from that we can learn, or we can experience by ourselves, like the if we touch fire it will burn. So like that, learning can be from any type, not only by studying, by practicing or being taught or experiencing. So this enhances the awareness of a particular field. Next one is problem solving. So here one tries to arrive at a solution by from a present situation by taking a path, and it is blocked by known hurdles or unknown hurdle. You should be capable of taking alternate path. So this problem solving includes decision making, and from this decision making, we have to it should be capable of selecting the best alternative from a variety of solutions, okay, to reach the desired goal. So if that particular solution is failure means, then it has to sort out the reason for that failure, and it should uh, go with the other alternative approach. Perception, it's a process of acquiring, receiving, interpreting, selecting and organizing the sensory information, like similar to human beings. So in human beings, perception is aided by sensory organs, whereas in AI, the data acquired by the sensors are put together, and from that, a meaningful observation can be done. So if a particular temperature of a place is to be known means, the data is collected from different temperature sensor which are placed in a particular area. So like that, it can be similar to the data collected from the sensory organs. Here also we will be having data collected from the sensors. From that, meaningful observation can be made. Uh, if a human being means, we will be having the nervous system where we will be observing the pain in a particular area. That information is transmitted to our brain, and we can do necessary action. If some mosquito is biting in that particular area means, we can swipe off that mosquito. Like that, the necessary actions can be taken by the brain. So this is similar to the artificial neural network, where we can have several neurons, and those neurons will be transmitting the required information, and from those information, the necessary output or solution can be taken by the output of the artificial neural network. Finally, linguistic intelligence. So this represents the ability of a person to use the verbal as well as written language. So it is important for communicating with other people. So this intelligence is also present in any AI machine. So differentiating human and machine intelligence. So humans perceive the patterns, whereas machines perceive it by a set of rules. For example, we can store and recall information by repeating patterns or something else, whereas this machines, it will be capable of performing it by having a set of rules. We don't have any uh, natural intelligence, so it will be having a set of rules, algorithms for identifying or for doing any particular action that is similar to human beings. All those things should be written and provided as a algorithm to the machine to build the human intelligence. For example, if you are seeing a number 40, 40, 40, 40 means it is easy for us to remember. Four times it is repeating and the same word is 40. It is actually called the pattern. Okay, and recalling this is simple for a human being, whereas this it can in a machines can have some other options. You don't remember it as a pattern. Okay, and if any one of this number is missing means humans can figure it out as a complete one. It is easy for the human beings, whereas it is not possible for the machines. Okay, so that's actually the difference between human and machine intelligence. Almost uh, we are making to implement most of the intelligence in human beings. Actually, we are now having only weak artificial intelligence. We don't have a fulfilled intelligent machine till now. Suggested areas of research. So this artificial intelligence it encompasses almost many systems which are expert systems. Here you will be having all the fuzzy logic, ontological based systems, everything, neural networks. So artificial neural networks that is actually the basic term. In that only we will be having at present deep neural networks and all. The number of hidden neurons are increased in deep neural networks. Next one, robotics. So robotics is a major artificial intelligence based technique. Fuzzy logic, natural language processing. So how our language is processed uh, by the machines. So these are some of the research areas in artificial intelligence. The real life applications, we can have expert systems similar to flight tracking systems and clinical systems and all. The natural language processing, Google Now, speech recognition, automatic voice output. Neural networks, we are having face recognition, so we can have all the security options uh, by unlocking our mobile or laptop using our face or by finding the fingerprints of the criminals like that we're having this pattern recognition systems. In the same manner, handwriting recognition will also come under this pattern recognition, which can be accomplished by using neural networks. So in neural networks, we will be training the machine where we can have a variety of features. If you want to, uh, if you go for image processing means we will be feeding the system completely with a set of images, and from that, after learning, if for example, if we are going to develop a system that should be capable of detecting a cancer. So cancer in a particular area in brain tumor, if you are going for finding the brain tumor means previously so many data which are brain tumor pictures actually. So those will be given as input to the neural network and that um, machine is trained actually. So it is a name given in where the machine can learn how the brain tumors will be by seeing a variety of brain tumor pictures. After that, whenever it is trained, if you give a new sample, new picture of a brain tumor, new X-ray image of a brain tumor, it is capable of identifying it as a brain tumor. So that is actually the method used in neural networks. So for face recognition and handwriting recognition, these neural networks are used. Robotics. So in robotics, we can have a variety of robots in industries for moving, spraying, painting. So many applications of robots are there. So next one, we move to fuzzy logic. So this fuzzy logic is actually a broad area where of artificial intelligence specifically coming under the expert system. So experts are nothing but human beings. So this fuzzy logic will be providing an output where we can give rough or inaccurate or ambiguous, that is data which are not clear Even if we provide those kinds of data as input, this fuzzy logic is capable of providing a solution to any particular thing, or it is capable of identifying the output in a manner similar to human beings. So, so before we begin, some clever people have said in the past, what they said is that precision is not truth. So actually, we feel that data that is precise means accurate. It is a true one. So data which is not precise, it is not true. But it is not possible in all situations where we can have only precise data required. So that is actually the meaning of this statement. So precision is not truth. So where we are having this kind of this sentence true. As complexity rises, precise statements lose meaning and meaningful statements lose precision. So in some situations, this precise statements we don't have any meaning at all. We can have an example where we can have that kind of statements. So this is one example showing precision and significance in real life. So first one, there we can have a precise statement. In that statement, it is given that 1500 kilogram mass is approaching your head at 45.3 milliseconds. So this is a precise statement. Precision refers to um, we are having the weight of the mass and also the speed of the mass that is approaching the head of a human being. So this is actually a precise statement where we can have the exact data. This is the first case where precise statement is there, but it is of no use because whenever a weight is approaching a human mind, we are not bothered about the weight of the mass as well as the speed in which it is traveling. Instead, you can see the second statement, look out. We will be just pushing the human being to save him from the weight approaching. So, the first statement, even if it specifies the precise value of the weight as well as the speed, it is not meaningful for the situation. So this is the place where precise statements lose their significance. So fuzzy concepts were first introduced by Zade in the year 1960. It is based on mostly computational logic as well as set theory is based on true or false, zero or one, in or out, or black or white. That means true or false means we don't have any intermediate values, whether it is true or it can be either false. We don't have partial true or partial false in set theory. In set theory, we might have seen we can have either zeros or ones. Okay, 0 or 1 in or out, whether it belongs to the particular set or it does not belong to the particular set. It can be either black or it can be either white. So this is the feature of any traditional computational logic or set theory. Whereas this fuzzy logic can be defined as a superset of this traditional method. So traditional here refers to Boolean logic, zeros or ones, in or out, black or white, anything. So it can handle somewhat something that is related to partial truth or partial false, which can lie between completely true and completely false. So the meaning is that in human beings, uh, we can perceive a person. If you are if you are going to remember a person means we can say like this: he won't be dark or he won't be white. He may be slightly black, like that we'll be defining. He won't be tall, he won't be short. He may be in the middle, like that. Human beings are capable of perceiving things um, for remembrance. So that is actually happening in fuzzy logic also. In Boolean logic, we can have only two versions. Either a person can be dark or a person can be uh, bright. So we don't have any intermediate skin tones in Boolean logic, whereas fuzzy logic paves the way for intermediate values where most of the human beings will be talking on. So that is actually partial truth or partial false values which can be allowed in fuzzy logic. So that is the main advantage in fuzzy logic where we can have values between 0 and 1. Instead of 0 or 1, we can have zero point 0.5, zero point 0.6 like that, values ranging between 0 and 1. Okay. Between true or false, we will be having partially true and partially false values. Between black and white, we'll be having gray or different varieties of black shades available in fuzzy logic. So many decision making and problem solving which we face are very complex and they cannot be defined precisely. So if we are defining it precisely, if we know everything precise data is available means we can go for mathematical calculation. If we know the value of current and the resistor means we can calculate the value of voltage. So that's the case whenever we are having accurate or precise data. But it is not the case for almost all the situations in our life. We don't have exact data at all times. Then how will you predict the output? We can go for some other option other than traditional computing or mathematical solution, mainly this fuzzy logic. So fuzzy logic systems produce acceptable, so it can provide some output that is acceptable by us. Even if you are not having any data, it can provide an acceptable output, but it won't be the exact output, but you can accept it. Okay, it's okay for me like that. So that kind of outputs are produced by fuzzy logic system, even if you are providing it incomplete, ambiguous, distorted, or inaccurate input. The input is not accurate, it can provide you some range of voltage values. Okay, the voltage can lie between this and that. It can predict somewhat. Okay. So fuzzy logic resembles human reasoning in its use of approximate information because using the approximate information, the human being can be able to find the exact output. Okay. And uncertainty to generate decisions. So uncertain information can also be used by human beings. Like as I already told, if an, even if you are given a piece of apple, you can be able to find out it is an apple. That is actually inaccurate data fed to a human being. Okay. In the same manner, if, for example, if somebody, some grandchild, children is talking to a grandparent like that, if you imagine, he is talking to him through a phone. If the grandchild is telling that I have seen something on the floor, it is just hopping, then the grandparent can be able to identify that it is a frog. Okay, so this is incomplete data. So the grandchild is not describing the complete input. So he's not giving the complete input. How many legs are there for a frog? What is the color? Like that. But even with that incomplete data, hopping on the floor, the grandparent can be able to communicate to the child the exact creature. So that is actually the human mind because human brain knows that whenever it is hopping on the floor, it's near the home. Means it can be, it may be a frog like that. It is possible for the human brain to predict. So that is an example where we can have inaccurate or incomplete data and capable of predicting the required output. So this is always possible in the case of fuzzy logic. The output frog may be wrong sometime, but it can provide a solution. Okay. So if frog is wrong means some other creature may be the output. Okay. But it should be capable of providing uh, an acceptable output, even the input is not clear. Okay. So with the information about how good the service was at a restaurant. So a fuzzy logic system can tell what the tip should be. So based upon service in a restaurant, if the service is good means you can it can provide a solution. You can give a more tip. Okay. Next one, with your specification of how you want the water. So if you want hot water or the water should be cold or it should be somewhat hot, it can fuzzy logic system can adjust the facet value for you. Okay. With the information about how far away the subject of your photograph, you can have a fuzzy logic system that focus the lens for you. Depending upon the distance of the subject, it can adjust the lens for you. So why we actually go for fuzzy logic? So it imitates the way of decision making in humans. So mostly it simulates or imitates the decision making capability of human beings, and it involves all the possibilities between yes and no. Between yes and no, we can have some possibilities either yes or no, can have mm, no or yes like that. Some intermediate possibilities are there available. Okay. Uh, we can have if the sun climate is nor cold nor hot. We can explain it by means of fuzzy logic. So the climate is not neither hot nor cold. Like that, neither nor terms can be given in fuzzy logic. All these possibilities can come under fuzzy logic. The he is neither dark nor white. The water is neither hot nor cold. Like that, the intermediate values can be given only in fuzzy logic. No need for a mathematical model. There should not be uh, a mathematical model available for any uh, generation of output. With the inputs, you can generate a possible output without any mathematical calculations or formulas available. It's relatively simple, fast, and adaptive. Can get it's not a complex one. Fuzzy is very simple. I can provide the result in a quick manner, and also you can it can adapt to different changes. You can change everything. The input, if the input is like this means what is the output. If you go for some other kind of input variations, that is also possible. It is adaptive to changes in the input. It is less sensitive to system fluctuations. Even there is a fluctuation in the input, it is less. It won't get reflected. It won't reflect in the output. Okay. It can implement design objectives even it is very difficult to express in mathematical version. So mathematical relations are not available in a particular uh, prediction means in that situation also a fuzzy logic can provide a solution. So these are the main advantages why we are going for fuzzy logic. So in natural language, we are telling Joe is tall and Joe is very tall. So what's actually the difference between tall and very tall? So in natural language will be it's not translated in terms of zeros and ones. In Boolean logic, we'll be having only uh, zeros and ones. We don't have any options between tall and very tall. But in fuzzy logic, we are having an option. So how it works? It operates similar to human beings. So human beings will make their decisions depending upon conditional statements. If it is like that means then it would be like this. If it goes on a floor, if it moves and hops in a floor, it may be a frog. Then it may be a frog. Like that, we'll be having a certain if-then conditions to define an output or any expression. So it operates on a bunch of if-then statements, not only a single if-then. If it is having four legs, if it is moving on the floor, if it is brown in color, if it is found in raining season, then it can be a frog. Like that, human being can identify based on if-then condition, not a mathematical formula or any equations. So, unlike two-valued Boolean logic, fuzzy logic is multi-valued. So, multi-valued in the sense you don't have in Boolean logic you don't have any combinations or values between 0 and 1. So, we might have seen in the truth tables and all either if it is 0 means both are 0 means either 0, both are 1 means 1 like that. 0 or 1 combination alone will be present. We don't have any 0.75, 0.25, 0.5 like that available in Boolean logic, whereas in fuzzy logic, multi-valued options are available. It deals with degrees of membership and degrees of truth. So the truth can be uh, have some variations, not completely true, not completely false. It can be partial true. So like that, degrees, that is known as the degrees of truth. So degrees of truth are available. So fuzzy logic uses the continuum of logical values between 0, that is completely false, and 1, that is completely true. Partial true and false values are available. Instead of just black and white, it employs the spectrum of colors ranging between black and white. So it can accept the things that can be partly true and partly false at the same time. Okay? So these are the possibilities which are similar in their operation to human being. So next one, crisp set. Crisp refers to the Boolean logic or the traditional set theory. So that is known as crisp set. Whereas fuzzy set refers to the fuzzy logic based set. So in crisp set we can be having either in or out. Whereas we can see in a fuzzy set we can have a gray portion where in is within that one, and between in and out there is a gray portion. So that gray portion is known as partial in or partial out portion. So this is available in all cases. This is an example for an in and out. So similarly, between these two levels, we can have another level, intermediary level, which is available in fuzzy set. So here Boolean logic we can have either white or black. So white represents um, one portion and black represents other portion. Okay. Whereas in multi-valued fuzzy logic we'll be having a range of values between 0 to 1. So this 0, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, this refers to the degrees of truth. So 0 means fully white, 1 refers to fully black. So between that, in point 2, we'll be having a white portion, but it is dull in color than the original white. In the same manner, when you go in right side, point 4, point 6 and all, the portion of gray is increasing and the white is turning dull in color. So that refers to the partial truth of white. Okay, the white is fading from left to right. Okay, and the black is fading from right to left. So one is full black, 0 is full white, point 0.4, point 0.6, point 0.8 and all partial black, partial white combinations. Okay, so in point 2 we'll be having more white and less black, but it is not completely white. It is having partial white and partial black, but partial white is having major component. In the same manner, we can have the truth values representing partial truth increasing in one direction. Okay? So between truth and false values, we will be having partial truth and partial false values similar to this one. So this is one example showing the fuzzy set of tall men. So here in the first column, name of some persons are given, and in the second column, their heights are arranged. Okay. In the degree of membership, we are having two different columns. One is the crisp set, and the other one is the fuzzy set. In the crisp set, as we see, from 181 to 208, it is 1, which means that from 181 centimeter, those men are considered as tall men. Whereas from 152 to 179, it is given as zero values because 152 to 179 are considered as short. We don't have any intermediate values in crisp. Why? That's why a person 179 centimeter, even it is less than 2 centimeter from 181. We can see 181 centimeter is considered as a tall man, but 179 centimeter man who is also tall. Here in this case, he is considered as a short man because here we don't have any separations between uh, partially tall and partially short. Therefore, crisp differentiation exists between tall and short. 179 is considered as a short and 181 is considered as a tall. Whereas in first set, we can have different values given to the tall man. So 152 centimeter, 0.00 means he is short. Therefore, zero value is given. 208, he is considered as tall, therefore one value is given. Between these values we can have a variety of values given to the tall and short man. So we'll be having 0.01, 0.06, 0.15, 0.24. These values represent the percentage of height. Okay. So for mm, the man David, who is 179 centimeter, he is given a value of zero point 0.7, which represents that he is somewhat tall. He is not short. He is somewhat tall, and the tallness value is related as zero point 0.7 because one is the exact tall value and zero point 0.7 is more or less approaching the tall value. So like that, we have to give the truth value, which is known as degree of membership. 155 centimeter is a short man. Therefore, the truth value given to that 155 centimeter is 0.01, which represents he is a short man. Okay. 158 somewhat higher value than 155, 0.06. 167 somewhat higher than 158, that is 0.15. Like that, when the height increases, the truth value also increases. When the man is nearer to tall man, his value will be higher. When the height of the man is nearer to short 152, his value truth value will be lesser. So this is how we can give different values, degrees of truth or degrees of membership whenever we are going for fuzzy set. Whether it is but it is not possible in the case of crisp or boolean logic or traditional set theory. So this is the graphical representation showing the degrees of membership. In the x-axis, you will be having the height, where the height ranges from 150 to 210. So as given in the previous page, up to 180, those men are considered as short men, and greater than 180, those men are considered as tall men. Therefore, we will be having a graph. Up to 180, it is staying in 0, and from 180 it is staying in 1, 180 to 210 it is staying in 1. The first graph shows the crisp set where we are having only boolean logic, either 0 or 1. Okay. So in the second one we can have the crisp fuzzy set. Here also in x-axis we'll be having the height, in y-axis we'll be having the different variations of values from 0 to 1, that is degree of membership. So whenever we see the 210 centimeter, it is having a value of 1. 152 centimeter, it is having a value of 0. 160 centimeter, it can have some higher value than 150. 170 centimeter, it is having a some value equal to around zero point 0.2. 180, somewhat higher value than 170. Like that, we can have different degrees of membership given in fuzzy set, whereas it is not possible in crisp set. On comparing this, we can see that crisp set have two options, whereas fuzzy sets it can have a variety of options to represent the uh, height of this man. So this x-axis is known as inverse of discourse. So whatever value we are giving, if you are plotting temperature means temperature or speed or anything, so that is known as universe of discourse, the range of all possible values for a given variable. So if you are taking temperature of a day means what are all the temperatures which we are having. So that temperature will be coming under x-axis. So if you are taking the speed of a vehicle means a two-wheeler means what are all the possible speed that a two-wheeler can take, that is known as universe of discourse, and that is given in x-axis. So all the variables, the minimum and maximum value of that particular variable is known as inverse of discourse. So in our case, a variable is the height. So different values of height starting from 150 to 200 centimeter. So that 150 to 200 different range of heights, that is known as inverse of discourse. So according to this representation, the universe of men's heights consists of all men. The y-axis represents the membership value, the truth value or degrees of membership of the fuzzy set. Y-axis is always known as degrees of membership, where we can have only values from 0 to 1. Between 0 to 1 we can have different possible values available. In our case, the fuzzy set of Tallman maps height values into corresponding membership values. So this we can see here the second diagram. So it maps the corresponding 170 means it is mapped to some value of zero point 0.2. 180 means it is mapped to some value around zero point 0.8 or zero point 0.7. 200 it is mapped to some value around zero point 0.9. So this is known as mapping. So mapping of the x-axis with the degrees of membership in y-axis. The terminology used in Persiset. So here also we'll be having similar to certain functions representation similar to normal set theory or Boolean logic. So a set X in which element Y has a grade of membership which is indicated by mu of xy. It is in the range between 0 to 1. So if cold is a fuzzy set, we can have the temperature values like this. 15 degrees means it value is zero point 0.2, slightly cold. Whereas 10 degrees if you are going means it is comparatively colder than 15 degree. Therefore, we have to give a truth value of higher than zero point 0.2, therefore zero point 0.5 which is quite cold. 0 degree means completely cold or totally cold and it should be a value equal to 1. So this is how a fuzzy set can be formed. So if you are taking the water temperature as a fuzzy set means, so you can have extremely hot means you can give a one value. Um, which can be 100 degree. Okay, so if it is some 75 degree means you can give a value around zero point 0.7 because heat is decreasing. If you are giving 100 degree as one means 75 degree Fahrenheit can be given a value 0.75. 50 degree can be given a value of zero point 0.5. 30 degree can be given a value of zero point 0.3. Like that you can have different levels of truth. Similar to this cold condition, it can choose appropriately. So fuzzy relation, this relationship can be expressed as on a scale of 0 to 1. We cannot make this to exceed one value. So its range is between 0 and 1. We can have different versions varying from 0 to 1 depending upon the truth value. So if X is the inverse of disperse and its elements are small x, similar to classical set theory, we can have a function fa of x, which is known as the characteristic function, which is defined like in this manner. So if that element belongs to A, set A means it will be having a value of 1. If it does not belong to the set A means its value is equal to 0. Okay. So in fuzzy set theory, fuzzy set A is A of universe X is defined by the membership function of set A, which is given as MA of X belongs to 0 and 1, and MA of X equal to 1 if it is totally within the set. It is equal to 0 if it is not within the set. If it is partially within the set, it can be taking any value between 0 to 1. So this is actually the mathematical representation which we have seen already on a comparison diagram between normal set theory and fuzzy set theory. We can have gray layer between in and out. That is actually given in mathematical representation here. So how to represent a fuzzy set? So we have to first determine the membership functions. So in our Tallman example, we can have the fuzzy sets of tall, short, and average. We can any variable we can take. Okay. So we have to divide it into different fuzzy sets. So in our Tallman example, we can differentiate it into tall, short, and average height. Okay. So a man who is 184 centimeter is a member of the average men. So this can be clear if you can see the graphical representation, this one. So three fuzzy sets are the short, average, and tall. So in the case of crisp sets, we can have only like the first figure where short means 150 to 170 is short. 170 to 180 centimeter is average. 180 to 210 is tall. So this is how crisp cells will differentiate the tall, short, and average man. Whereas in the second case, in the second representation, we can see we can have not we don't have any straight representation. Instead, we are having a triangular and trapezoidal. Okay. So in short man, whenever we can see value between 180 and 190, an arrow is shown here. So around 184. Okay, if you plot, if we take it, if we construct a line, it can touch both the average as well as the tall man. So that means the centimeter 184, it refers to a value of uh, around zero point 0.1 in average and a value of around zero point 0.4 in tall man, which means that 184 can be coming in average as well as in tall because 184 cannot be exactly tall or exactly average. It can be an average or tall. Therefore, this is possible in fuzzy set. In crisp set, 180 represents only the average, whereas in 184 represents the tall man, whereas here in fuzzy set, 184 represents some value in average as well as in tall. So like that, we can have different range of truth values in fuzzy logic. So this is how the fuzzy sets are represented. So main thing in a fuzzy logic is linguistic variable. Linguistic variable is nothing but it is a fuzzy variable. So for example, if you are having a statement like John is tall means, so this linguistic variable John takes the linguistic value tall. So John is the variable and tall is the value of that variable. Okay. So this linguistic variable examples, if wind is strong, then sailing is good. So if the wind is strong, then uh, we can say quickly in a boat. So that is actually the meaning of this sentence. If project duration is long means then completion risk is high. If project duration is short means then you can complete it uh, with low risk. Okay. So if speed is low, then stopping distance is short. This refers to the braking system in a vehicle. If the speed of the vehicle is slow means then we can stop it within a short distance. If we are moving in a vehicle very fast means then it takes some distance for after putting a brake. Okay. So the range of possible values of a linguistic variable, it represents the universe of discourse. So universe of discourse of that variable means we can have all the if tall means all the possible values of that tall is represented in the universe of discourse. So for example, the universe of discourse of the linguistic variable speed. So you are having a variable speed and its range is from 0 kilometer per hour to 220 kilometer per hour. And it can be classified into different fuzzy subsets which can take slow, uh, slow, medium, fast and very fast. Okay. We can also have in between several variables. So we can differentiate. If we are having a temperature means we can uh, create a subset which consists of low temperature, medium temperature and high temperature, or we can create 5 subsets: very low temperature, medium temperature, high temperature, very high temperature. Okay. Or you can create 7 subsets. Okay, like very high, medium high, medium low, low, very low, like that. It depends upon the precision of output. If you are taking more number of subsets for a variable means your output is more precise. If you are taking less number of subsets for a variable means your output is less precise. So that's actually the meaning. You can create your own fuzzy logic for any particular application. You can create your own variable, number of subsets for that variable. So if you want more precise means even you can create 9 subsets for a variable. If you want less precise output means you can create 3 subsets for a variable. So like that, it depends upon the human being which is creating the fuzzy logic. A fuzzy rule can be defined as a conditional statement, usually in the form if x is a, then y is b. So where here x and y are linguistic variables, a and b are linguistic values. Okay. Uh, as I already told, if uh, x, if you take it as a man, then a is tall. Like that, man is a variable, and a is actually the linguistic value for that variable. So you can have multiple antecedents. For example, if climate is chill and temperature is small and month is November, then chance of rain is high. So these are if climate is chill, temperature is small, month is November. These are actually the input or antecedent. Then chance of rain is high. This chance of rain is the output. So this fuzzy logic will take three inputs: climate, temperature, and the month. So if you are providing a chill climate as input and a small temperature as input, and if you are telling to the fuzzy system that the month is November, then it will tell, since the climate is still, temperature is small, and month is November, your chance of getting rain is high. So that is actually the output provided by the fuzzy logic. So this output, it resembles the human thinking. We will think. So in sunny temperature, or in uh, summer, if the climate is chill, temperature is small, and the month is May, then we can easily tell that there won't be any raining. Okay. So in the same manner, similar to human prediction, this fuzzy logic will also provide the chance of raining, okay, depending upon the three input which is given. In the same manner, if service is excellent or food is delicious, if any one is possible, then you can give a generous tip. Generous means it can give somewhat tip. So either excellent service, or even if the food is superb, we can give a tip to the service provider. Fuzzy sets of tall and heavy men. So this is an example of tall men and heavy men. So here we in tall men we'll be having a universe of discourse, that is x-axis height and y-axis is the degree of membership. Whereas in heavy man we'll be having x-axis weight in kilogram, that is universe of discourse, and y-axis the degrees of membership. These are two different fuzzy sets. Okay, so there is a general conception that if somebody is tall means then his weight is heavy when compared to a short man. So that is what given in these two diagrams. So we will be having two separate sets. One is tall man, another one is heavy man. So one represents the weight of man and another one represents the tall man. So we have a relationship that if somebody is tall, then his weight will be high. So this can be obtained from these two fuzzy sets. We can see it in the next one. So here we can have a direct mapping between these two fuzzy sets. So in the previous slides we have seen two different fuzzy sets of tall men and heavy men. Here we have mapped these two graphs into a common one here. Um, for example, in the left side, we are having a height value 180 centimeter. It is directly brought together and it is mapped to a weight value which is equal to around some 73 or 74. So, which shows that if the uh, height of a person is around 184, he may be having a weight equal to 73 or 74. Like that, you can have a direct mapping. Okay. In the same manner, if the height of a man is around 190, it can have a weight which is equal to or greater than some 92 or 93. So, if height is increasing, we can have the weight also increasing. This can be mapped directly from two subsets without any equation. We don't have any equation. So, if we substitute your height here and calculate the weight of the man, we don't have any mathematical calculations. Instead, human being perceives that if a person is height means his weight may be around this one. In the same manner, using two different subsets, you can map together and you can predict. So this kind of fuzzy inference which we are making is called monotonic selection. Here two different fuzzy sets can be mapped together and can get the output or relationship between these two. So in the same manner, the consequent, that is the output of a fuzzy set, can also have multiple parts. If temperature is very hot, then hot water should be reduced and cold water should be increased. So this is the case you can imagine whenever you are taking a hot water bath. So if outside temperature is high means the hot water can be reduced and the cold water can be increased. So if you will be preferring somewhat cold water, not an extremely hot water whenever uh, we are taking bath during summer. So this is one fuzzy logic. In the previous case, we have seen only so many inputs. So whenever there is a sentence behind if, that represents the input. Whenever there is a sentence behind then, that represents the output. So in the previous cases, we have seen several if statements and only one then statement, which means that many inputs are given and only one output is taken. Whereas here in this case, only one input is given, then also we can have two possible outputs. So this is also a type of fuzzy logic system. So if temperature is cold, this is another example, and oil is cheap, then heating is high. So temperature is cold and oil is cheap. So climate is cold, and if you are having a cheap value for the oil, then you can heat it more. You can use more oil. That is actually the meaning of this one. So here, linguistic variables are temperature, oil, and heating, and linguistic value is cold, cheap, and high. Okay. So this is known as fuzzy if then role. If X is A, that is known as antecedent or premise, then Y is B. This is known as after the then statement, that is known as the consequence or conclusion or output or result. Okay. The statement following, if it is known as the antecedent or precedent or premise or input. Some examples: if pressure is high means then volume is small. If the road is slippery, then driving is dangerous. If a tomato is red means then it is ripe. So this is actually a simple statement which includes only one input and only one output. If a tomato red means then it is ripe. You can add more uh, one or more sentence with this if. Okay. If speed is high means then apply the brake a little. So you can have another sentence: if the speed is high and if the uh, vehicles are more, then apply a brake. If there is no vehicle, means then no need to apply the brake. So like that, we can have multiple sentences combined together depending upon the situation, and you can form a fuzzy rule. So fuzzy union. So fuzzy union. It is similar to our general Boolean logic union, but the difference is that in Boolean logic, we'll be combining all the elements present in the two sets whenever we are going for union operation, whereas here, if two elements are there and if you A and B, so A is having some value because as I already told, we'll be having values ranging between 0 and 1. A equal to 1, zero point 0.2 and 0.75, B equal to 0.2, 0.45 and 0.50. So when you find the union of these two sets, we will be finding actually the maximum of the corresponding values in both these sets. In A, the first element is 1 and in B, the first element is zero point 0.2. The maximum of 1 and zero point 0.2 is 1. So that is the result finally for A union B. So you have to find the maximum of the corresponding elements in both these sets. In A, the second element is zero point 0.2 and in B, the second element is 0.45 and maximum of these two elements is 0.45. The same manner in 0.75 and zero point 0.5, you can have 0.75 as the maximum, and the third um, set A union B is formed after maximizing the corresponding elements of the two sets A and B. In the same manner, intersection. In intersection, in general set theory, we will be having common elements when we are finding the intersection, whereas here, uh, minimum value of these elements will be obtained for intersection of two sets. For A intersection B, what is the value? between 1 and zero point 0.2, minimum is zero point 0.2. Therefore, zero point 0.2 is the value of the first corresponding element, comma, minimum of zero point 0.2 and 0.45, zero point 0.2. The same manner, intersection, it represents the minimum value of the two sets. In same manner, complement of a fuzzy variable is actually 1 minus x. Whatever be the value present in an set, we have to take inverse of that value. So 1 minus 1, 0. 1 minus 0.2, 0.8. 1 minus 0.75, 0.25. So this is the value obtained after taking the complement of a fuzzy variable. So in general set theory, we'll be putting generally A means A bar. 1 means 0 or 0 means 1. But here we will be subtracting the value from 1 for taking the complement of the variable. So this is actually a table showing the relationship between the values, that is color ripeness relation for tomatoes. The thing how we can read is if it is green means it is unripe. Okay, the value is 1, and if it is yellow means if it is green means it takes a value of unripe as 1, because if it is green means it is not ripe, therefore it has a value of maximum 1 for unripe and 0 for ripe. It is not ripe, therefore we have to give the value 0. Semi ripe we have to give 0.5. When it is yellow means it is actually semi-ripe. Therefore, under the semi-ripe column, you have to give 1. Under the unripe and ripe column, you can give anything. Okay. Red means totally ripe. So, under the ripe, we have to give 1. And under unripe, we have to put 0. Semi-ripe, we can give any value. So, this is how we can form a table which indicates the truth values. This is actually for a tomato, and based on the color of the tomato, you are going to decide what is the truth value for that tomato color in ripe, semi-ripe and unripe. So green means totally unripe, red means totally ripe, yellow means semi-ripe. So for those, we'll be putting one value. Remaining we can give some depending upon the degrees of truth. So this is a step-by-step approach. Step 1 for defining or implementing a fuzzy logic, define the control objectives and criteria. So we have to form questions like what is trying to be controlled, whether the speed or the temperature or what is the variable that is to be controlled. What has to be done to control the system? So if I want to what control the speed means what I have to do. So for a problem, first you have to decide what has to be done to control the system. What is the output of the system? What is to be done? What are the factors which influence the output of the system? What kind of response is needed? What is the type of output needed? Whether you want yes or no type output, or you want to reduce that one, or how the output should be. That is to be defined. So, for example, if I want to predict um, whether it is raining or not, simply I'll be getting the output raining, not raining. Okay, like that, whether yes or no, chance yes or chance no, like that you can get the output. So, what kind of output is needed? Next one, what are the possible system failure modes? So, under what modes the system will fail? So, those should also be defined previously. In step 2, determine the input and output relationships. What are the input and output relationships? So, in the previous case itself, we have seen when it is dark red means it is ripe. So, dark red is the input and ripe is the output. So, how the input and outputs are related to one another. Next one, determine the least number of variables for inputs to the fuzzy logic system. So whether one input is given, on seeing the color itself, whether it is able to, if you are able to predict the ripeness of a tomato on seeing the color means you can give only one variable color. So if I am if I think that not only the color is enough for predicting the ripeness, I have to taste. Then you can add taste as the second input. So if the color is red and the taste is somewhat sweeter, not sour, then you can confirm that the tomato is ripe. So I have given two inputs. One is color and the other one is taste. So that depends upon the user. I can uh, give another option also, the size of the tomato. So if it is small in size but color is red and it tastes sour, then it is not ripe. So I am taking another factor into account, the third one, that is the size of the tomato. So I am giving three inputs: color, taste, and size. And depending upon these three inputs, I will decide the output whether it is ripe or unripe. So like that, you can take any example and you have to decide what are the inputs, what is the relation between the input and output, whether one input is required to predict the output or more than one input is required. Okay, if the inputs are available, input data are available. So all these things should be kept in mind while determining the input-output relationship. Third one, break down the control problem into a series of if and else statements. So if color is red, then right. Like that, you have to break it into a series of if and else. Okay. Step 4, create a fuzzy logic member function. So for each variable, I have to create a membership function, truth value, depending upon the truth value. So for if I am going for the color means I have to give, um, if it is red, what is the value I will give 1 for that one. If it is yellow means I will give zero point 0.5 value. If it is green means I will give 0 value. Like that, for the variable color itself, I will be having 3 values. In the same manner, for the variable taste, I can have sweet, sour, and some other one. Like that, you can create values for each variable. The next one, after the membership functions are created, the program, then everything can be programmed into a fuzzy logic system. And next one, step 6, finally the system should be tested and the results should be evaluated. And if there is any unfavorable result, then the system can be adjusted. I can adjust the value of any variable or any, I can add one more variable, okay, to make the system efficiently work in a manner similar to human beings. Like that, you can go and adjust. You can make a trial. If it suits your requirement, you can go for it. And if it is not exactly producing the required output, you can make adjustments. You can go to the input. You can increase the number of inputs. You can increase the number of values, variables, and you can make a precise output. So these steps can be summarized into three main stages. First one is specification. Okay. So in this step only, we'll be giving membership functions, that is a value ranging between 0 to 1 for any situation. Next one is evaluation of rules. Here we are applying the fuzzy rules. So if it is like that, then it would be like that. So that is actually the fuzzy rule. The second step is application of rules. Third one is defuzzification. In defuzzification, we'll be getting back the original crisp values here. Okay. In the second step, we are for membership function, we are giving a value lying between 0 and 1 in fuzzification. The reverse process is known as defuzzification, where the values 0 and 1, between 0 and 1 is converted into real values. So this is the graphical diagram representing the step-by-step approach. Input is given to the fuzzifier and the output is taken from the defuzzifier. In between, we'll be having an inference engine. Okay, so this inference engine, only the rules are applied. Okay, and this inference engine will be capable of providing the inference, that is output. That output is converted by a defuzzifier into a realizable one. Okay. So to apply fuzzy inference, we need input to be in linguistic values. So these linguistic values already I have told, the variables and their values. Okay, these are represented by degrees of membership. The fuzzifier converts this crisp into fuzzy membership values. That is, depending upon the, for example, in Tolman we can have different heights converted into different membership values. That is actually the function of fuzzifier. So this method is known as falsification, conversion of the numerical values. 182 centimeter, it is converted into some value around zero point 0.4 or zero point 0.5. That is known as falsification. Membership functions, it reflects the designer's knowledge and it acts as a transition between the fuzzy set. They are simple to calculate and some of the shapes of the membership function we have already seen that triangular and trapezoidal shapes are there in fuzzy sets. Here we can have an additional one, Gaussian. Gaussian, trapezoidal and triangular shapes of membership functions are available. So this is the diagrammatic representation of this fuzzy membership. First one is Gaussian and the second one is trapezoidal. Similarly, we can have triangular falsifier also. So these are some membership functions. The first one, it represents the some 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 membership functions ranging from not satisfactory to excellent level. In between, we can have fair, satisfactory, good, very good. Okay, so we can also classify it into three. 0 to 40, I can classify it not satisfactory. 40, I can classify it as a fair, somewhat satisfactory. From 40 to 100, I can classify it as excellent. Like that, you can have different types of functions defined for your problem. Okay. In the same manner, the second diagram, it represents the voltage level, input voltage and low negative, medium negative, uh, somewhat yes, maybe it can be zero, is that or a small one, medium positive and low positive like that. Five values for this input voltage variable is there. We can also have 3 values, 7 values, 9 values. So depending upon the precision, we can divide. The inference evaluates all the rules and determines the truth value. So this is the place where different rules are applied and the inference, we know that it is actually the output, it is evaluated. So composition, it combines all fuzzy conclusions into a single conclusion. So for each and every input, we can have a variety of outputs and all those are combined together to form a single output. So defuzzification, it is a process of converting the fuzzy value into a crisp value. This is often complex because we cannot exactly map a fuzzy value into a crisp value. So a lot of techniques are there in defuzzification. So many methods are there. Some of them are first of maximum, middle of maximum, last of maximum, and mean of maximum. So the maximum, it represents the output. See, among different outputs, only the maximum value of output is considered. And in that, either the first maximum value is chosen or the middle of maximum value. If the maximum value, we can have a middle value and that value is chosen. Last of maximum value or the mean of that maximum value is chosen for defuzzification. So this is the one which I explained in the previous slide. So on seeing the second diagram, we can know that we will be having a maximum value ranging from -2 to -8. You can have -10 to +10 in the x-axis. In that, we can see the maximum value lies from -2 to -8. So in this, the first of maximum is -2, middle of maximum is -4, -5, between -4 and -6, and the last of maximum is -8. Okay, so this is what I meant in the previous one. So this is how the fuzzy output look like. So many rules are combined together and you will be having a graph like this. In this only the maximum value, maximum area is chosen. And in that you can have first of maximum. So first of maximum, it corresponds to a value of -2, middle of maximum, -5 like that. You can get the output. So these are some examples of falsification process. So already we have seen this type of examples. So based upon the temperature, we can have 4 different pulses: freezing, cool, warm, and hot. So greater than 70 temperature, we can have warm. Lying between 50 and hot, lying between 50 and 90, it is warm. 30 and 70, it is cool. Less than 30, we can have it as a freezing temperature. So advantages, you can modify a fuzzy logic system by somewhat increasing or decreasing the number of rules. So rules represent if and then statements. We can convert them into rules. So we can add any number of inputs. We can delete any number of inputs, and you can form easily fuzzy logic rule table. So fuzzy logic systems can take imprecise, distorted, noisy, inaccurate, ambiguous, confused, everything. All type of information can be given as input. So fuzzy logic systems are easy to construct and understand because we are taking a problem into simple human-like observation. We are thinking in terms of statements. So if color is like that, it is right. If it is not red color, it is not right. Like that, if we are making first a simple statements, then only we are going to go for the rules construction and all, which resembles human thinking. We are not actually dealing with any mathematical relationship. So fuzzy logic systems are easy to construct. So it's a solution to complex problems in all fields of life, which include so many applications. Almost all applications can be using this fuzzy logic, and it resembles human reasoning and decision making capability. So this okay, thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am, for a such wonderful and detailed webinar on artificial intelligence, and thanking all the participants for patient listening. Attendance link is available at the chat box. On tomorrow, there will be two sessions, one on 10 a.m. and another on 2 p.m. Thank you all.